Everyone, welcome to the Never Stop Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, Dominic, however you want to refer to me as. And what an action-packed Friday Night Smackdown and Monday Night Raw that we just had. Happy 4th of July, everyone. I'm glad to be recording this podcast on a Tuesday morning. Isn't it great to be alive on a Tuesday morning? I mean, come on now. In Jersey, too. Got some coffee this morning. Got some Starbucks. And it's great to be in Jersey, especially in 3.5 weeks. We have Summerslam coming up. And what we've been seeing on this past Friday Night Smackdown and Monday Night Raw could be some things, could be some matches and some feuds that we could be seeing at SummerSlam at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. You know I'll be there. There's going to be a ton of content for when I go to SummerSlam, so I'm very excited about that. But that's for the future. That's for a whole nother time. But we're definitely going to get to there. But we're going to be talking about in this episode specifically what happened on this past Friday Night Smackdown and also last night's Monday Night Raw. Let's dive right into it. Going to start off with the Friday Night Smackdown that happened on 4th of July. Ladies and gentlemen, I prayed for this and it happened. Drew McIntyre is back, ladies and gentlemen. What a way to put him back, too. It was kind of disappointing that a lot of people knew that he was going to be back that past Monday because the Friday Night Smackdown was actually recorded right after Monday Night Raw in Pittsburgh. So a lot of people knew that Drew McIntyre was going to be returning because of spoilers online. Obviously, it's kind of hard to stay away from it, 4 days after Monday Night Raw leading into the Friday Night Smackdown. You basically have to stay off social media in general as a whole. So, like, the double tapings, if you're a fan that's there, really exciting. If you're a fan that's watching at home, it's really difficult to try not to see any spoilers. I don't know how anyone didn't see that. I did sadly see it, like, the Monday night, like, that Drew McIntyre returned. I'm like, oh, no, I don't want to see anything more because I want to watch SmackDown and I want to see what exactly happens while watching SmackDown Live. I'm so happy to see Drew McIntyre back. Drew McIntyre is easily one of my favorite superstars and easily one of my favorite heels in the company. And I think we saw the true potential of what Drew McIntyre can truly be with his 2024 run. With his run while Roman Reigns was out for a while. Cody Rhodes was champion. I mean, Cody Rhodes' championship reign was a little bit, controversial when it comes to was it a good title reign or was it solely good because of how Cody got it. Let's be real here, guys. Drew McIntyre and CM Punk carried 2024. In my opinion, at least. I feel like Drew McIntyre in 2024 is the embodiment of what Drew McIntyre can be in this current year of WWE. And honestly, I think what we saw in 2024 is a huge reason of why we should be seeing Drew McIntyre in the main event scene right now. And we should have seen him in the main event scene at this past WrestleMania, at WrestleMania 41. After the CM Punk feud, we haven't really seen anything valuable given to Drew McIntyre. This is not Drew McIntyre's fault at all. I think the lack of creative after the Punk feud, which was phenomenal, probably the best feud in 2024, arguably in all of pro wrestling, definitely in WWE. Then we go to after the Punk feud, he goes with Damian Priest. He has this Bloodline Slayer arc type thing that went nowhere. It seemed like they just, I don't know if giving up on Drew McIntyre is the right term because Drew McIntyre was still a star, but it seemed like creative-wise, they sort of just relied on the star power that Drew McIntyre just brings off in any type of match that he's in, rather than actually giving him valuable storylines and feuds to, you don't need to help build Drew McIntyre more, but he should be in valuable, meaningful storylines that are some of the biggest throughout the entire company. He should be in those storylines that a Roman Reigns is in, a Randy Orton's in, a Cody Rhodes is in. In my opinion, I don't think it's just because I'm a fan of his, but I think Drew McIntyre should be in that same element and that same conversation as we have, with superstars like I just named Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Seth Rollins. I mean, I'm going to be honest, even without being biased, I think Drew McIntyre fits in that category with those mega stars throughout the company. So, Drew McIntyre returned. He's going to be facing Randy Orton at Saturday night's main event that is happening this Saturday. Maybe we can see this be a feud for SummerSlam, because as of right now, Randy Orton doesn't necessarily have anything going for him. It does look like we could see Drew and Randy branch off for another 3 more weeks. That's all it really needs, because SummerSlam is in the very beginning of August. We're almost through halfway of July. I would love to see Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton go face to face. I mean, I think we saw a lot of this during the COVID era, which was great because that was Drew McIntyre's phenomenal run. And to now bring this back to life 5 years later, that would be really, really cool. And Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton, I love it. I could just see the future segments that they're going to have between one another, and I'm excited for it. I hope the Saturday night's main event match that they both have isn't just a one-off match. I think Drew McIntyre against Randy Orton could, one, be a highly anticipated match on the SummerSlam card, even without a stipulation. I think just strictly on how great their characters are in the company. I think that in itself is just very, very exciting to see in a match. And also, Drew McIntyre, great storyteller. Randy Orton, great storyteller. Put them in a match. 3-week build-up to the biggest SummerSlam technically of all time. I would love to see Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton not just be a one-off at Saturday night's main event. I would love to see Drew and Randy branch off a few more weeks so we can get to SummerSlam. I feel like that would be a phenomenal match at SummerSlam. And Drew McIntyre should be feuding with someone like Randy Orton. That's just my opinion, though. We move on to the women's tag team scene. And let me just put it out there. People who have said they need to disband the women's tag titles, I don't understand people who say that. Makes absolutely no sense. And they say that they have an argument, and the argument is that the titles are cursed, people get injured whenever they get them, or, the creative booking is awful. Look, the creative booking being awful, that can change. The injury thing, injuries happen in the business. Like they say, this isn't ballet. I feel like, in my opinion, my argument, that is a lot of other people's arguments on why they should disband a tag title for the women. My argument to go against that is that is extremely disrespecting all of the women in the tag team scene. Basically saying that they're not good enough to even have titles, to have storylines, to revolve around their tag teams. There are some great tag team women out there. And to have the titles that, we've seen some women tag teams that weren't single stars forming into tag teams. We've seen, like, Katana Chance and Kaden Carter, being a tag team, and they weren't single stars. They were strictly only a tag team. I mean, we've seen Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. They were solely, basically, for the most part, just a tag team. Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson. I know a lot of these names have been released, but, it's disbanding the women's tag titles would be absolutely disrespectful to all the tag team women out there. Especially in a division now where we're seeing a lot of top stars enter the tag team scene to help elevate and to help give the tag team scene more prestige. And that's where, that's where I'm about to get into. We're seeing Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair have great chemistry in the ring, and I think them entering the tag team scene for the women could elevate, if they get their hands on the women's tag team championships, could give prestige to the women's tag division. And guys, we also have Roxanne Perez, the newly called up NXT star, and Raquel Rodriguez. The Judgment Day is looking really good. Roxanne and Raquel, that's a lot of, prestige right there. Raquel is a phenomenal performer. Roxanne Perez is an upcoming star. And then we also have, other teams like the Kabuki Warriors as well. I'm sorry, I have like a ton of things written down that I wanted to talk about. The Kabuki Warriors, who are just newly announced that they're going to be tagging again. For those of you who might not know who the Kabuki Warriors are, which if you are a WWE fan, I feel like you do, but just in case some people don't know, it is Asuka and Kairi Sane. Guys, the women's tag team scene, I don't think in recent memory has not been introduced to so many stars like we're seeing right now. So to say that they should get rid of the titles because injuries happen. Look, guys, we can't control that. You can't blame the titles for injuries, guys. That is like some childish stuff. That really is. Guys, disbanding and just completely getting rid of the women's tag team titles is extremely disrespectful, at least in my opinion. That's just my opinion. But I think that's discrediting women's tag team wrestling, and I think the right thing to do is now, now is a perfect time, bring some stars into the division that makes sense, have great storytelling involved, like Alexa and Charlotte Flair, them forming together. I love it. I think it's going to be great for the women's tag team title scene, and maybe get them the titles. I don't think right now, I think Roxanne and Raquel are going to hold on to the women's tag titles for a little bit right now. Judgment Day is looking pretty strong. I like where they're going with the Judgment Day, especially, while Liv Morgan is out recovering in rehab for her dislocated shoulder. I love the direction of the women's tag team title scene and just the women's tag scene in general. And we also have like Zaruka, Maxine, and Natalia, who haven't really been shown yet on TV, but we have a lot of options now. So I've said it like 3 times already, but disbanding the tag titles, guys, stop it right now. Guys, the women's tag team titles, they should stay, and they're gonna stay. They're gonna stay. And I think the women's tag team scene is looking great, and I think it's going to get a lot better from here. And the end of SmackDown, and honestly, I think just really the last few episodes of SmackDown recently have really been. We saw Solo Sikoa win the U.S. title, which I loved, because I feel like Solo getting his flowers is very important, especially with him after the whole Bloodline saga thing, between him being in the OG Bloodline, and then after the OG Bloodline split and Solo Sikoa went on his own. I feel like Solo Sikoa got the most hate throughout every member in the Bloodline after everyone went their own ways. Sorry. And Solo Sikoa, to see him naturally get fans by just being himself, it's very nice to see. It's very refreshing. It wasn't something that they were trying to force, to our eyes and to force us be fans of Solo. Now we're just naturally, liking to see Solo on TV, and we want to see him win. We want to see him become the United States champion, and now he is our United States champion. But I hope after Solo and Jacob, I hope after their feud, maybe Jacob wins the title back at SummerSlam or a little bit more down the road. Nothing wrong with that. I'm kind of getting tired of this whole Bloodline shenanigans thing. I think after the Solo Jacob thing, I know this isn't going to happen, but I think after the whole Jacob Solo thing, maybe Jacob wins the title back or Solo just looks dominant with, his bloodline. Just call it off. I don't like how the bloodline members, except Jay and Roman, Jimmy, Jacob, Solo, and the rest of everyone else literally need to rely on the other family members just to stay relevant in the business. Look, it makes complete sense to have them have storylines between one another. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying don't have the bloodline go against the other family members or the other family friends. How many times can you spam this repeatedly, time after time again, to where we're going to see Solo and Jacob, then Jacob Jimmy versus Solo and JC, then Solo JC and Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa versus Jacob Fatu, Jimmy Uso, Zilla Fatu, and another Fatu. Guys, it's at the point where I think at War Games, we can almost see a Bloodline versus Bloodline match again, which we already got last year. I don't know. I could be sounding like a hater right now, but I'm really tired of this whole bring in the entire family, bring in the entire crib, have them all go against each other, and it's going to be a thing that we constantly see until, all these guys retire. I don't want to see Solo just rely on feuding with Jimmy, Jay, and Jacob Fatu and Roman Reigns. Bro, I actually liked it when Solo Sikoa was feuding with Cody Rhodes. I just didn't like that WWE completely just gave up on the fact that Solo wasn't a contender, wasn't on the level of Cody Rhodes. They didn't give Solo really a chance. Because with Cody Rhodes' title reign, like I said in the beginning of the episode, it's controversial because I don't think Cody's title reign really was that good or amazing. I think we get kind of hypnotized of the moment of Cody Rhodes winning the title. That's what I think we get, misconstrued with Cody Rhodes' title reign. Cody Rhodes' title reign, for the most part, was basically just halting the entire time, having these little sub-feuds. AJ Styles, we knew AJ Styles wasn't going to beat Cody Rhodes the first 3 times. Then we had, who did he face? Kevin Owens? After, for 2 times or 3 times? It was all just, stuff that, up until John Cena made his farewell tour, and then we started creating these, theories of maybe Cena as a babyface could dethrone Cody Rhodes. This is before we knew, John Cena turned heel. Cody Rhodes' entire title reign was basically just, okay, we're going to have these little feuds that aren't even really feuds. They don't really mean anything. We're not going to build them up too much. And then when we get to WrestleMania, then we're going to give you, the one real storyline and one real feud, and you're going to lose it there. So, if we're really looking at it, Cody Rhodes' first real storyline, the Kevin Owens one for the Royal Rumble match, that was great. I do have to give them credit for that. But everything besides that, though, Cody Rhodes' WWE Undisputed Championship title reign wasn't really everything that I feel like a lot of fans necessarily think of it as. I don't think it was really that title reign that we're going to remember, 10, 20 years down the road. Do you remember when Cody Rhodes was just absolutely killing it as the WWE champion? When he won it after WrestleMania 40? The moment? Absolutely phenomenal. One of the greatest moments in pro wrestling history, at least in my opinion. I was there. I got goosebumps. After Cody Rhodes won, the entire crowd was erupting. It was amazing. But the title reign that transpired after Cody Rhodes winning it at WrestleMania 40, that's a whole nother discussion. So I forget what I was exactly talking about before. Oh, I was talking about Solo and Cody Rhodes. How Solo wasn't considered a contender. This is just how I viewed it. Solo wasn't a contender in the company's eyes to be a serious threat to Cody Rhodes. I think they could have made Solo into a superstar like he is becoming right now back then. I think that they did it right. Not necessarily that Solo had to beat Cody. I was one of those people at SummerSlam in 2024. I was low-key rooting for Solo to beat Cody because I was starting to get behind Solo. Then after that match, they kind of just forgot about Solo. Gave him no creative storylines. They kind of just let him sink or swim. Anytime he got any screen time, it was like, all right, Solo, well, if the crowd doesn't really get any reactions from you, it's kind of your fault. But, Solo stopped getting any, good creative stuff from the WWE. Up until Roman came back, they had Solo go after Roman, the Ula Follow thing. And then after Roman won, Solo was in the back burner again. The disrespect from Solo, was crazy from a creative standpoint. I'm glad seeing Solo Sikoa finally get what he deserves. Good storytelling, good booking for Solo. He's a champion. I think he's going to be a good champion, a good heel champion. I would just like to see down the road, we don't always have to involve Solo Sikoa and the Bloodline. Because besides Cody Rhodes, I feel like every single feud that Solo has had is either about the Bloodline or with the Bloodline. So, I don't know. That's just me, though. I love Solo, though. I love Solo. Now, let's move on to Monday Night Raw. We had the Seth Rollins faction, which a lot of people are saying that the faction's called the Oracle, but I think just Paul Heyman is named the Oracle. I'm not sure what Oracle means necessarily. I know the Oracle Arena that the Golden State Warriors play for. I don't know what it means, but supposedly Paul Heyman is the Oracle to the group. They trademarked that name for Paul Heyman specifically. I'm not too sure what it means, but we got some answers. Finally, the WWE acknowledged the whole elephant in the room. Why, out of all out of Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker, the elephant in the room was, why is Bronson Reed with Seth Rollins? After Bronson Reed delivered 6 tsunamis to Seth Rollins quite a few months ago, almost sending Seth Rollins out indefinitely. So they actually brought it up, which was really, I'm glad they did, because if they went on this entire faction and didn't even mention this or hint towards, the message behind why Bronson Reed is really in the group after what he tried doing to Seth Rollins, I would seriously be like, how can I take this faction seriously if they're not going to address serious things like that? Like, for Seth Rollins to come with open arms and have someone who literally tried to take him out into the group, that needs to be discussed. And it did get discussed. They did mention it. Bronson Reed basically was saying Seth Rollins respected Bronson Reed after that and basically viewed it. He started to view Bronson Reed as one of the main forces in the WWE. And Seth Rollins was like, I need to bring you along. You can, cause chaos throughout the entire Monday Night Raw roster and just the entire WWE roster in general. And you got my respect now. Now, think about this, Bronson. If we form this faction to where I get another guy that's just like you, maybe the same exact kind of intensity that you bring, and Braun Breaker, the big dog, and I'm going to lead this faction, as in Seth Rollins. Rollins is going to give orders and manipulate his way so every member in the group, eventually gets their time to shine. Maybe we could see everyone in the Seth Rollins faction eventually get gold, like how the Judgment Day is right now. So Seth Rollins, he had respect for Bronson Reed. And I'm just glad that they mentioned it, on TV. I'm glad it wasn't just an elephant in the room that would never be discussed, like how we still don't know why John Cena sold his soul to The Rock. Like, guys, we still don't even know about that, which is friggin' crazy how that wasn't even mentioned yet. And that was at the Elimination Chamber, guys. Think about it. We're hitting SummerSlam in 3.5 weeks. Yes, I'm going to continue to talk about SummerSlam because I'm so excited because I'm going. But no, in all seriousness, no. We still don't know why. That's still the elephant in the room between the whole John Cena and Cody Rhodes feud. Like, John Cena turned heel because of The Rock, but we still don't know why John Cena, sold his soul to The Rock. Maybe they'll get back to that. The Rock's, said that on the Pat McAfee podcast where he got a lot of heat, and I was one of those people that wasn't necessarily too happy about the interview, breaking kayfabe, and all this, and just the excuses that he made. It was tough to watch. It was tough to watch. But I'm just glad that the main elephant in the room between the Seth Rollins faction was finally discussed. And, it was brought to light. Because as fans, yeah, it's pro wrestling. You could pretty much do whatever you want. But it still needs to make sense. At least from a more mature fan. As a kid, I guess it doesn't really matter. You're kind of just, watching whatever you see on TV. And you're not really questioning too much. As a fan that likes to talk about it, make, content about it too, I like to know the real reasons of why things happen on the show. And it is a show. It's an episodic TV show. Things should make sense and things should be brought up of why things are happening. So, great segment for the Seth Rollins faction. I love that the elephant in the room is now brought up and it's now brought to light. What happened right after? Liv Morgan, I am so sorry, Liv, that the Judgment Day is doing you dirty. They're doing you dirty, and Dirty Dom's letting it happen. Liv Morgan is being treated that she is no longer with us. This is insane. Roxanne Perez, you are so dirty for that. Have you been taking notes from Dirty Dom? Because that was dirty, Roxanne. Setting up this, this shrine, a photo of Liv Morgan, flowers around her, around the photo, flowers around the photo, candle lit up. I think it was, I forgot what it was placed on top of, whether it was just a table or something else, I don't know. But when the camera panned over to the thing that Roxanne set up for Liv Morgan, in remembering Liv Morgan, I was like, hold up. Is this what I think it is? Roxanne really made this she is replacing Liv Morgan. And the fact that Dom, out of all people throughout the entire Judgment Day, is so cool with this and is so oblivious by this and doesn't see what Roxanne Perez is really trying to do is alarming. And if I'm Liv Morgan, if I'm coming back in, 2 months or so, whenever Liv Morgan does come back, Liv Morgan is going to be Liv Morgan is going to be a huge babyface when she returns, and especially after seeing how Dirty Dom is just allowing this stuff to happen, and especially with this being done by the person who just replaced Liv Morgan, Roxanne Perez is just paving her way into, becoming the Liv Morgan spot, going to take all the opportunities that Liv Morgan should be getting, and Finn Balor loves it. Roxanne Perez, you're absolutely foul for what you did to Liv Morgan. This was absolutely crazy. And I love it because when Liv Morgan comes back, we're going to see Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez go at it, have a great feud. I would love to see this at maybe Clash at Paris, or another PLE. This is definitely, when Liv Morgan comes back, Roxanne and Liv Morgan is definitely 100% a PLE-worthy match. And right after, Cross, I said this in the last episode, Karrion Kross is not done with Sami Zayn. And I love, this is such a great sign because Karrion Kross's contract is up in August. And from what we've been seeing, especially on this past Monday Night Raw, where they verbally said how every single week coming up, Karrion Kross is going to be attacking Sami Zayn as long as he shows up to the show. This is a great sign that Karrion Kross will be re-signed with the WWE. And may I add, I think we could see Karrion Kross and Sami Zayn, I think we could settle their feud at SummerSlam in a street fight. Guys, picture that. This feud deserves a brutal match like a street fight. Maybe even a cage match. I don't know, but This feud, I would love to see it at SummerSlam. I think it would be a great opener match with a lot of intensity, a lot of in-ring psychology, a lot of in-ring talking, trash talk, Karrion Kross wanting to see Sami Zayn expose the truth about him. I love it. I love this feud. I think it is great for both guys. And it's crazy because Karrion Kross came out, had a steel pipe from Scarlett, and hit Sami Zayn right in the gut again. The bruised ribs of Sami Zayn, and the crowd chanting, "We want Kross." We want Kross after Karrion Kross just attacked one of the biggest baby faces in the entire company. Let that sink in, guys. The fact that the crowd isn't turning against Karrion Kross by attacking one of the bigger baby faces in the company shows how over, and I think was an ultimate test of, honestly, how they can really use Karrion Kross in the future. And I'm going to compare this to what happened later on in the night with Bronson Reed against Jey Uso. It ended in a DQ. Bronson Reed's goal was to just take out Jey Uso, have him to become so brutally injured that he's out indefinitely. I hope not too long because SummerSlam's coming around and I want to see Jey Uso at SummerSlam. But Bronson Reed tsunami'd Jey Uso 2 or 3 times. Forget if he did it twice and then he was going to do it 3. But the crowd, here's what I'm going to bring up. The crowd didn't chant one more time, or they did a little bit, but they barely chanted one more time for Bronson Reed when he was attacking, without a doubt, probably the biggest babyface in the entire company in Jey Uso. Let that sink in now. So we have 2 ultimate baby faces in Jey Uso and Sami Zayn. Both heels are attacking the babyface. Karrion Kross is attacking Sami Zayn. Bronson Reed is attacking Jey Uso. Guys, if you're a heel and you're doing this, if the heel is attacking the babyface, the heel should be getting booed. Especially in the way that Bronson Reed and Karrion Kross were doing it. Karrion Kross got cheered for attacking one of the biggest baby faces in the entire company. Karrion Kross he is showing how over he is to the company. And I think now the company is really starting to realize how over and how much the fans and how much I want to see and how much the fans really want to see Karrion Kross on TV every Monday Night Raw on consistent PLEs. We want to see Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross basically got cheered after attacking a ultimate babyface. Now go on to the Bronson Reed side. Bronson Reed tsunamiing Jey Uso twice. You heard some fans in the crowd saying one more time, but it was very, very silent. And I heard a lot of boos mixed in with that. That just goes to show, both Jey and Sami Zayn are so over, but Karrion is so over as in, the fans want to see him get pushed so badly. They don't care who it is that Karrion Kross is going against. They just want to see Kross inflict damage, inflict brutality, and just have Kross, be exposed into the spotlight. Because it's just inevitable at this point. Karrion Kross needs to be on our screen every single Monday Night Raw, and it's about damn time that the company sees that. I'm so glad that we're seeing that from Karrion Kross. And speaking on inflicting pain, brutality, and just all out, just the embodiment of being dangerous. Braun Breaker has the greatest spear of all time. The big dog Braun Breaker, woof, woof, woof. There's no question. I don't care who you put up against Braun Breaker. This man has the greatest spears of all time. Carlito, deceased. El Grande Americano, they had to put in another human being to replace him. Yeah, you can compare him to Roman Reigns, Bill Goldberg, Edge, Rhino. I don't care who you put up against Braun Breaker. Have you seen someone do a spear like Braun Breaker? Literally take out WWE talent? This man's doing flips after his spears? This man is sending people out of misery? Look at Ricochet. Look at Carlito. Look at El Grande Americano. This is great. Braun Breaker, his spear last night to Sami Zayn was absolutely insane. It was Sami Zayn. I love Braun Breaker, dude. Absolute future star in the company. Such a young talent. I gotta say, I wish some other guys were getting the same amount of treatment and the same amount of creative respect as Braun Breaker, like Carmelo Hayes. He's really one of the main guys that I wish was getting a similar treatment as a young star on the main roster. I feel like Carmelo Hayes could be very similar, obviously in a different sense, not a dangerous enforcer like Braun Breaker, but Carmelo Hayes has a lot of talent as well, and I do hope in the near future that Carmelo Hayes gets that push that he really deserves, because in NXT he was amazing. And I hope they didn't just call him up too soon just to have him rot away like a lot of NXT call-ups have in the past. And I don't like seeing that at all. I don't like it when they call up guys and girls as well and they don't have anything planned out for them. Because ever since Melo has been on the main roster, they really haven't had any angle for him. I love the Andrade and Carmelo Hayes thing and a little bit of the Carmelo and LA Knight thing, but it didn't really go anywhere. They had a fantastic match at Crown Jewel last year, which was great. I think it was the best match on the Crown Jewel card. The triple threat match with Andrade, LA Knight, and Carmelo Hayes. That match was crazy. Definitely top 10 matches of the year for WWE. Hands down. That triple threat match was crazy. There's just no question Braun Breaker is the future of the WWE. There's no question about that. And, down the road with the Seth Rollins faction, I think we all know what the end game is. Braun Breaker's going to turn against Seth Rollins. I believe he is going to get too tired of Seth Rollins being this giving orders leader. And I think Braun Breaker is going to finally realize that he can handle stuff on his own. I mean, we saw it last night as well, where Braun Breaker took the microphone before Seth Rollins could even talk. Seth Rollins looked like he was a little bit disrespected by it. I liked seeing Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed actually have a voice in the faction. Seth Rollins, at times, I feel like shouldn't even talk. He's got two insane, dominant enforcers with him. Let them talk, dude. Let them talk too. So Rollins, you can sit back for a little bit. You got these guys, you got these top dogs, you got these enforcers with you. Lay back a little bit. Let them handle some business too. But I think the end game is Braun Breaker turning babyface, going against Seth Rollins, them having a massive match at like WrestleMania. I truly do think that's the end goal with this entire faction, and that would make Braun Breaker look like an absolute star. I know he already looks like a star, but that would put him into the main event scene, and it's only up from there. It really is only up from there. We could even see maybe Braun Breaker face Rollins for the title, if Rollins has a title at that point in time, and Braun Breaker becoming champion as well on like one of the grandest stages of them all. Dude, it's storytelling at its finest. I would love to see that. And it would be great. It would be great storytelling at the end of the day. Speaking of storytelling, the greatest feud in the WWE right now has got to go to the Women's Intercontinental title scene. Becky Lynch, Bayley, Lyra Valkyria, these women are doing phenomenal. These women are doing phenomenal. This is, because right now, and I'm not just saying this because there hasn't really been, as I'm currently recording this, too much of a long-term storytelling feud right now in the WWE, which is kind of crazy because we have one of the biggest events in SummerSlam history. Well, the biggest SummerSlam in history coming up in 3.5 weeks. I had to slide in, mentioning SummerSlam in New Jersey in there again. But, no, seriously. Throughout the entire WWE, Becky Lynch, Lyra Valkyria, and Bayley for this Women's Intercontinental Championship is the most just highly anticipated feud. And I'm glad this better main event at Evolution, because all the other matches at Evolution, they have no build and they're kind of just thrown on the card just to be thrown on the card. And I don't like that. And that's a whole nother episode that I will most likely record throughout this week. How I feel about the Evolution match card, and this Evolution 2 just feels like a sloppy fest of, they're kind of just discrediting the women on just throwing these matches together with no feud and no reason for fans wanting to, get their teeth sunken into any of these matches because they're just thrown together. And that explains why ticket sales for this PLE is really low, because besides this triple threat match between Becky, Lyra, and Bayley, every other match doesn't even make sense. It's just thrown together just to have a match. And yeah, I guess that works sometimes, but not for the entire premium live event to be like that. This is why I got to give so much credit to this women's IC title feud that we got going on, and I don't even think it ends here. I think this could branch off into SummerSlam. I truly do got Bayley winning at Evolution. I think Bayley and Lyra could have a SummerSlam match. Or I don't know. Or does Becky still be revolving around the picture? We could see this maybe running it back at SummerSlam? I don't know. I like this, but this is why you need the friggin' build storytelling in matches, because it leaves it to be unpredictable. We're seeing Lyra Valkyria, her character work is improving every single week because she's in a feud and a storyline where people actually care, because they made us care. They brought emotions into it. They brought a lot of authenticity to this triple threat storyline for the women's IC title. Every other match on the Evolution card is just, yeah, we'll throw a world title match out there. Io Sky not being booked for, 56 days? Hasn't defended the title. Hasn't even been seen on TV since the Raw after WrestleMania, I feel like. In her match against Stephanie Vaquer. Like, what are we doing? And now she's, it kind of inevitable that she's going to lose to Rhea Ripley, and what's going to happen to Io Sky? She's just going to be tossed onto the sideline? Io Sky, I discussed that in my previous episode. I could go on a whole rant about how Io Sky has been treated not only for this Evolution PLE, and you know what? I know I've been saying that Io Sky's being disrespected for this Evolution PLE match between her and Rhea Ripley for the Women's World Championship. I don't even like the way that they're putting Rhea in this situation. You got the most over superstar, arguably in the entire company, just being thrown into a title match. One, obviously the IWC has a lot to say no matter what decision the company makes. But it gives Rhea Ripley a bad rep that you just give her these title matches just for the giggles of it. Obviously, Rhea Ripley is one of the biggest stars in the entire company, like I just said before, one of the most over and one of the most just biggest stars in the entire company. But to just have her have these matches by just standing in the ring is insane. I know they had it kind of make sense with Rhea, with Io challenging Rhea, and how Io is putting Rhea over by saying Rhea's one of the best. I need to defend the title against one of the best. But they didn't even show up in this episode of Raw. They had vignettes. They had one vignette. And it was like 2 minutes long. It's a women's world title match between Io Sky and Rhea Ripley. This could main event if this actually made sense, if this was actually built for like 2 or 3 weeks. That's why I got to give so much credit to this women's IC title scene. It makes sense. They've been building it since before Money in the Bank. They've been building this since WrestleMania 41. This is what the WWE needs to do throughout the company. The rest of the WWE roster, take notes from Lyra Valkyria, Becky Lynch, and Bayley, because they're perfecting storytelling right now with this IC title scene. I could see this being branched off for another couple months. Because just because the woman wins the title, just because one of these women win the title, doesn't make the feud over. The feud isn't just all about the IC title. It's about all of the history that each woman in the feud have between one another. It's perfect. That's why I gotta say, even comparing it to John Cena and Cody Rhodes, or Jade Cargill and Tiffany Stratton, and I gotta dive into that. I totally forgot about mentioning that when I was discussing about SmackDown. I will discuss that right after I'm done talking about this. Everyone else needs to take some notes. Lyra's looking like a star. Becky's looking like a star. She's looking like she's perfecting storytelling. Looking like she's, her and Seth Rollins have been working together behind the scenes on how they can improve, telling stories. Bayley's character turn. I love it all. It's so good. Perfect. Kudos to you, ladies. Kudos. Hope you ladies main event Evolution. Great storytelling with this IC title. Great job. And I gotta talk about, I don't know how I skipped over on Friday Night Smackdown when I was discussing SmackDown. The Tiffany Sratton, because we're talking about Evolution, I might as well just go on my rant right now about Evolution, right? One, how is Stephanie McMahon and Julia not on the cover of Evolution? Are you kidding me? Two of one of the most over women in the entire company aren't on the poster. I don't know if Julia's going to be defending the U.S. title at Evolution, but Stephanie McMahon is confirmed at Evolution. She's in the Battle Royal match. How is she not on the poster? How? It's bad enough that she hasn't even really been on TV the last couple of weeks. No idea why. But you don't have her on the poster? You don't have Julia on the poster? But you have some other girls that aren't even on the card. You don't even have your world champions in the front cover of the poster. Io Sky's hidden in the back. Tiffany Stratton is like all the way in the back right corner. Yes, say I'm complaining. Say what you want. I don't care. It's not showing the respect to the people that need to be respected. All the women in the entire division deserve the respect. Put everyone on the card. Put everyone on the poster. Don't exclude some people. Or at least just put, if you were gonna not have everyone on the poster, at least put the people who are literally going to be on the event. So when we look back on this PLE, when we want to rewatch it, we're like, oh, Stephanie McMahon's on the Evolution 2 poster. She's got to be, in the PLE, right? She's not even on the poster. I'm sorry. But let me talk about, I don't know. I'm sounding like the IWC, but I think I'm starting to understand the IWC with this take. God damn. Stephanie McMahon not on the poster for an all-women's PLE? Get out of here. Get out. Julia, too. Beautiful man. Get out. Get out. You're not having either of those two on the poster? I don't know. Just, there's a lot of stuff that's been going on where I'm just questioning some stuff. Call it overanalyzing. I don't care. It's stuff that needs to be questioned. And another thing that needs to be talked about is what I'm going to talk about. What I just said I was going to talk about a few minutes ago. Tiffany Sratton and Trish Stratus. I'm so glad Trish Stratus is getting a match. I'm glad that we're seeing one of the women from the past and also kind of the present because she was at Elimination Chamber competing as well. Trish Stratus is really timeless. She's competed in several different decades, several different eras. Shout out to Trish Stratus. This match between Trish Stratus and Tiffany Sratton for the Women's Championship, they had the segment. It looked kind of awkward, not going to lie. It looked like they were just hitting their cues on like a piece of paper, if that makes any sense. Like, if you rewatch it, it looks like there was no anything authentic about the segment. Anything authentic about what was being said. It looked like they were just reading a prompt while talking on live TV. And may I add, Jade Cargill is just in the ring. Why are we just completely sidelining the woman who is going to face either Trish Stratus or Tiffany Sratton, whoever wins, which we already know who's going to win at Evolution, because of the poor build that they're giving Trish Stratus, a WWE legend, WWE Hall of Famer, considered from the WWE as the greatest women's wrestler of all time, giving her a 1 SmackDown episode build for a all-women's PLE for really her last WWE title shot, probably for the rest of her career. Well, Goldberg, I'm not discrediting Goldberg here. Why does Goldberg get an entire month build for his World Championship match, which is claimed and announced that it is his final match? So basically we know that Goldberg is losing the match. Why does Goldberg get a month build while Trish Stratus, who is not confirmed that she's retiring, she actually is saying, wow, that gold would look really nice around my waist. My kids haven't seen me as world champion yet. But that's going to get a 1 episode of SmackDown right before the PLE worth of a build, making us not even believe that Trish Stratus is even a contender against Tiffany Sratton for the championship. Well, we're getting actual thoughts on Goldberg beating Gunther, but they already announced that this is Goldberg's last match. So there's no way that Goldberg wins. We should be getting the reverse thoughts. The thoughts of, okay, we know Goldberg isn't going to win, but let's give Goldberg his flowers. And then Trish Stratus should be getting the thoughts of, wow, I know Tiffany beat Charlotte, but can she beat Trish? She's considered the greatest women's wrestler of all time from the WWE. This isn't Trish Stratus' last match. It isn't announced. It isn't, announced that Trish Stratus is retiring. She's not on a farewell tour like John Cena. I hate the fact that we're getting the instincts that we know 100% that Trish Stratus is not even a contender to beat Tiffany Sratton, while on the other hand, we're actually getting the weird feeling that could we see Goldberg beat Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship and then Seth Rollins cashing in on Goldberg when we know that it's confirmed that it's Goldberg's last match announced by the WWE, while on the other hand, Trish Stratus could still have several matches in the future. It should be the complete opposite. And this is where I have to go back to the women's IC title scene. This is why the women's IC title scene is the greatest feud and storyline in the WWE right now. It makes sense. It's not forced. They've actually built it for the last few months. Lately, the WWE has just been doing these 2-week builds to premium live events. To how can you expect people to even care? I love Tiff and Trish. How can I care about this match? People want to give a lot of slack to AEW about saying AEW just throws matches together. Look at WWE. Look at the whole WrestleMania 41 match card. Look at the match card for Evolution 2. Look at what we might see, the match cards for SummerSlam, Night 1 and Night 2. WWE in 2025 has lost the long-term storytelling, at least in my opinion. We're seeing a lot of, I saw this on Busted Open. Shout out to Bubba Ray Dudley and Dave LaGreca on one of their episodes. WWE is dishing out a lot of fast food storylines. What happened to the Gordon Ramsay storylines? The beefy steaks, the medium rare steaks, they're juicy. They go on for 6 months. Drew McIntyre, CM Punk. What happened to that? 2024 was like the last time we saw like a really long-term storytelling. Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre, CM Punk. There's other ones too that I'm just thinking off the top of my head. I'm sorry, I don't remember everything like that as crisp like that. But 2025 has lost, at least in my opinion, 2025 has no long-term storytelling whatsoever. Yeah, maybe you can mention Cody Rhodes and John Cena, but guys, let's be real here. Cody Rhodes and John Cena at WrestleMania 41 was a complete flop from an in-ring standpoint. John Cena, they're doing a great job with his farewell tour as of right now. But if they flop with the Cody versus John Cena match at SummerSlam again, and it's arguably, I guess, the other long-term storytelling feud that we got going on in the WWE, I'm sorry. The women's IC title scene is the greatest friggin' feud right now. It is! Argue with it. Comment down below. Post something on social media. Tag me in it. Argue. Make a statement. Argue with that fact. Because, you know what? As Paul Heyman would say, this isn't a prediction. That's a friggin' spoiler for you guys. Insane, dude. Insane. And I know I talked about Goldberg and the Trish Stratus comparison thing. Not discrediting Goldberg at all. This isn't the superstar's fault. Any of them. They're given creative ideas. They do it. Obviously, they could pitch in some stuff that they might, want to do or see on television. But what they get is what they get. They told Goldberg, hey, we're going to give you a month build, final match, this is what we're going to do. Okay, cool. If that's WWE's plans, you can't ridicule Goldberg for that. That's why this isn't discrediting any of the superstars. This is directed towards the people who are writing in the back. Insane. I don't like how Gunther has been looking like, what happened to the Gunther that was, I'm complaining a lot in this episode, I'm sorry. What happened to the Gunther that was a force to be reckoned with? Now we're seeing Gunther get pushed down by CM Punk, taking one punch from Goldberg and he falls on the floor. We're seeing him look weak against Jey Uso in the match that they had on Monday Night Raw where Gunther did tap out Jey Uso. But throughout that entire match, Gunther looked afraid of Jey. What happened to the Jey Uso? What happened to the Jey Uso? What happened to the Gunther that people were supposed to fear? I don't know where they're going with Gunther's character. Is he this dominant force? Or is he just playing that role now? And he's really this insecure, champion that is all talk, can't walk the talk. That's at least the impression that I'm getting with Gunther. I can't say I'm a huge fan of that, but I don't know. It sounds like I'm not a huge fan of anything in this episode, but I'm just being honest, guys. I'm saying it from how I'm seeing it. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sugarcoat, and I'm not going to just say I like something when I really don't like something. This is just my opinion. Obviously, everyone else might love it. Okay, cool. But that's why that's why I make these things. Because I give you my honest opinion, and I'm not biased. I love WWE. I love it even though I'm saying all these things that I dislike about the product. It's still my favorite thing to watch. one of my favorite things growing up, and I love it. Love WWE. There's just a lot of things going on that I don't know. I'm seeing a lot of changes. I'm just gonna take a sip of some vanilla sweet cream cold brew, really quick. Hold on. That was really good. So the whole moral of Monday Night Raw has been revolved around the Seth Rollins faction. I love that because Seth Rollins really can run an entire show. And it's showing why Seth Rollins, like I said earlier in the episode, between Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton and CM Punk and Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins should be in the category of the same tier as Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. And I feel like it doesn't get talked about enough. Seth Rollins has been consistently on WWE programming for however long he's been within the company. When you have, and rightfully so, other guys taking hiatuses, becoming part-time for several parts of it throughout their career, leaving the company. Seth Rollins has been the guy who has been through the good, the bad, and the worse, and the best. And he's done his best work in every single one of those eras. You have to give credit where credit is due. Seth Rollins should be running an entire show, which he is in Monday Night Raw. And he can. I love Monday Night Raw. I think Monday Night Raw is the best show. I got Monday Night Raw, NXT, then Friday Night Smackdown. I don't know, 3 hours is just way too much for me. I start falling asleep after the second hour. But Raw, there's no filler spots. Everything means something. Seth Rollins, he's got his big bad faction. And I love how they're trying to wreak havoc. I love that. And on this episode of Monday Night Raw specifically, all three members destroyed. Well, Penta got away. Penta lost a match. He didn't become injured to where he was out indefinitely like the plan was for Jey Uso and Sami Zayn, because we had the Megastar come out and save the day, actually. We had the Megastar attack Seth Rollins. They're having a match at Saturday night's main event. And it's great to see LA Knight at least be on the show. I thought he wasn't going to be on the show, and when they had his vignette where he was talking about Seth Rollins, which I thought was crazy because Seth Rollins didn't even mention LA Knight in the beginning promo, where he was naming all guys who want to compete with him and guys that he wants to take out throughout the entire business. And the guy who he's feuding with currently and having a match with this Saturday at Saturday night's main event wasn't even listed as one of those names. So the disrespect to LA Knight's is absolutely insane right now. Look, guys, LA Knight is definitely losing this Saturday. I don't think there's any chance that he's beating Seth Rollins. I highly doubt it. If Seth Rollins loses, that would be crazy. I think this match could definitely main event Saturday night's main event. I don't know. Being an LA Knight fan is really tough, man. It's like being a Finn Balor. I mean, Finn Balor's winning right now. Being an LA Knight fan is really crazy when you just look at Money in the Bank in general. And then when you look at him being teased with title opportunities as well. And, being put into these feuds where if he became the guy on top at the end of a feud between like Seth Rollins, obviously the Roman Reigns thing is completely different because there was no way that LA Knight was going to beat him for the championship because Roman Reigns was on a undefeated run at that point. He was like the Warriors with Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, DeMarcus Cousins. Roman Reigns, and with his 1,316-day title reign, was like the 2017 Golden State Warriors, guys. Insane. He was the power of Curry, Klay, Durant, Boogie, and Draymond Green. Like, that was the kind of stuff that Roman Reigns was on during that era. So there was no way that LA Knight was going to beat him. with that Roman Reigns. But LA Knight, it's tough, man, because there's so many situations where I feel like LA Knight, oh, we could put LA Knight in this situation. Oh, LA Knight could win this. That could catapult him to becoming a world champion. Obviously, LA Knight is over regardless, but it's the same thing with Jey Uso. He was over before he won the Royal Rumble. He was over before he won the World Heavyweight Championship. But there's something about winning the title that means something to these performers, to these superstars, that it's more than just a belt like that I got hanging on my wall. Like, this is a huge accolade to their hard work that they put into this business. So I feel like at some point we need to see LA Knight at one point, and they could easily have it done, because it's not like it would be a forced thing having LA Knight become a world heavyweight champion or just a world champion in general. We've seen him as the U.S. title. That was great. His first run was really, really good. Now I think it's time. LA Knight deserves to be in that main event spotlight very, very soon. And I think we could see that in the near future. But I think he's going to be jobbing this Saturday against Seth Rollins. I don't see any situation where Seth Rollins is losing to LA Knight. But that doesn't mean LA Knight can't get his lick back against like Braun Breaker or Bronson Reed. So we do need to stay tuned for that. Maybe LA Knight even getting some help maybe in the future. Maybe Karrion Kross helping at LA Knight. Because Seth Rollins did name drop Karrion Kross, saying that nobody likes that guy. No one likes him. Which was kind of weird that they specifically had that part of the segment backstage where Seth Rollins name dropped Karrion Kross. Maybe Karrion Kross can go after the Seth Rollins faction. Maybe he can help out a few other guys and, wanting the truth to be exposed from Seth Rollins. I don't know what that might be, but it seems like Karrion Kross knows a lot of things that we as fans don't necessarily know from the human eye, from just viewing it on a surface level. Kross seems to know the inside and out of storytelling throughout the entire company. And the fact that Rollins did specifically say, oh, who cares about Karrion Kross? We don't like him. I don't know. Maybe that's planting the seed for something that we might see in the future. I don't know. But that was the recap of Monday Night Raw. Those were my takes on Evolution. Those were my takes on everything that happened on this past Friday Night Smackdown, the 4th of July edition, and this previous episode of Monday Night Raw. Let me know your takes of everything that was discussed in this video, and what are your predictions for this weekend for Saturday night's main event and also Evolution's 2. Let me know down in the comments below. As always, drop a like and subscribe to the channel as I upload, not we, 2 to 3 podcast episodes every week. And on top of that, daily shorts and clips of the podcast episodes. So you see the highlights in the clip, in the shorts, and then you also can watch the entire full episodes, like if you're watching right now, in a podcast playlist. So everyone, as always, thank you so much for tuning in. And a lot of wrestling this week, jam-packed, 7 days this week. You can watch pro wrestling throughout WWE, TNA, and also AEW. So stay tuned. This entire week, it's going to be jam-packed. And we got a big weekend ahead of us, all in Saturday night's main event. And also, we have Evolution 2. Everyone, hope you have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next episode.